Brian did not come to me, which frankly I appreciated, with some opportunity to match the offer. When we talked, he indicated that he was resigning to take another position. He thanked me for the opportunity the university had provided to him, thanked me for our friendship, which I very much appreciated, and I wished him all the best.
Oh, that's nice of him. That's so considerate. So considerate of Brian Kelly to, call the AD and not go back and forth in terms of matching offers. It is so nice, matching offers. It is so nice to have NBC and Notre Dame's own Jac Collinsworth here with us. Jack, I don't know if you heard, thanks for being here. I don't know if you heard a snippet of our earlier conversation off the top. I was going in on Brian Kelly like I went to Notre Dame. You actually went to Notre Dame, okay? How are you feeling right about now?
Well, it's a business is business moment, and the timing of it is probably the biggest disaster if you want to go there. Similar timing to when he left Cincinnati to come to Notre Dame. And I understand that when you're going to take a new job, you need that time to secure a roster, secure recruits, and go build all of that. And that is what LSU would want. But this is still a team that is right in the thick of the playoff hunt. And so from that standpoint, I'm shocked. But I will say, as time has gone on, this is typically the day of my week where I catch up on my sleep. As you can see from my eyes, I have not slept at all. I've talked to just about everybody that I could get on the phone, former players, current players, people who are maybe coming into the program, people who have been around the program for a very long time. And there's a handful of names in the mix, but none that I am hearing more excitement and intrigue about, both short and long term, than Marcus Freeman. He's the defensive coordinator, met with them every single week this fall. He is as impressive as any leader, coach that I've been around. And probably one source said it best was that he's more of a CEO than a defensive coordinator already, and he's a great defensive coordinator. So I think that gives you some idea of the excitement they have about an internal rising superstar.
Oh, I'm loving this, because what I was going to ask you, see, this goes to show you, man, one door closes, another one opens. What I was going to ask you was about Urban Meyer, who reportedly has no interest in going back to college, for whatever it's worth. I don't know if you can believe what anybody says nowadays, but reportedly has no interest in going back to college. And I was going to ask you about some of the other hot names, whether it's, Campbell or Fitzgerald, any number of coaches that a brand like Notre Dame, as you know, could pull from another university the same way Brian Kelly got poached. But I'd love to stay here on Marcus Freeman. You're getting a lot of excitement. I saw you tweeted about this as well, a lot of excitement from the people you've talked to. How viable, because the AD didn't speak to a timetable today, and I don't know how exhaustive the search is going to be, but how viable an option is he? How realistic is it that they just promote from within from a guy, based on what you're telling us, is very popular within the Notre Dame community?
I think the biggest thing is this is one of the best recruiting classes that they've had in a long time. And in large part, it's a result of Marcus Freeman coming there. And if you remember, Marcus Freeman had an opportunity to potentially go to LSU and take that defensive coordinating position, but instead was excited about his opportunity to come to Notre Dame, learn underneath Brian Kelly. And now this is an 11-win season, only a one-loss season, only lost to Cincinnati. It's a team that's gotten tremendously better throughout. But when you look at one of the best recruiting classes that they've had in a long, long time, and Freeman being very closely connected, as we've seen throughout the course of this day, hearing from some of those recruits with these guys that are coming in, it feels like a stabilizing move, perhaps, to stabilize what Kelly has built there at Notre Dame. And then also a building move in terms of they want more classes like this coming in. And when you start hearing guys talk about him as more of a CEO than as a defensive coordinator, look what he's done as an actual defensive coordinator. So I think that speaks volumes. And then you hear the players. I was just listening to the Notre Dame podcast, that Inside the Garage podcast with Kyle Hamilton and some of the current Notre Dame players. And they very quickly, of all the names, circled DeMarcus Freeman. So right now, if I had a vote based on what I'm hearing, current players, former players, future players, guys within that program, there is one name I keep hearing, and I got to say that I agree with it.
Hey,
But,
Mike, this is my Birdman hand rub right now. It's my I'm feeling this.
all right. Well, listen, I think we're getting a little too far ahead of ourselves. I want to go back for a little bit. Jack,
Please.
you mentioned a great recruiting class that Notre Dame has. You mentioned that they're an 11-win team. They are in college football championship contention. And it's Notre Dame, one of the most storied programs in North America. So why is Brian Kelly leaving? You tell me. Why is he leaving?
Money. I think that's what it comes down to more than anything else. And, you know, it's a grind. Notre Dame's a grind. And it's not like he's been there for 5 minutes. He's been there for a long time. But when you start looking around at some of these coaching contracts that are coming about right now, I mean, the market, just like for quarterbacks in the NFL, right? It gets set and it gets reset and it gets reset again. And it has just exploded to a level right now that's beyond a lot of people's wildest dreams, I think. And for Kelly to be able to get $15 million a year, not over 10 years, over 5 years, which is probably what he's thinking he has left in the tank at, you know, around 60 years old. That's the kind of walk away money I think most people would want in their lifetime, right? I mean, I don't know that you could ask for a bigger, better contract than that. And I think he's ring chasing, to be perfectly honest with you. And apparently he feels like his best ring chasing opportunity is at LSU without the academic restrictions, whether I agree with them or not. And frankly, I don't. I thought his best chance would have been over these next 3 years, given what Notre Dame has, both coming in and currently in the building.
Okay, ring chasing, bling chasing. All right, let's look at it this way. You're at Notre Dame. You've been there for a dozen years, and you're the winningest coach in program history. Why not go and get that and seek a counteroffer? Because if it's money, I don't know if Notre Dame's going to pay $15 million a year, but you can make it. He's got a good agent. Make an argument. Look, hey, look what Hugh Freeze got at Liberty. Liberty is not even close to Notre Dame. Look what Mel Tucker's getting right up the road here at Michigan State. I may be in line for a pay raise. We're Notre Dame. We can afford it. How about a raise? Right? So it can't just be money. Yeah, because he can get that there.
That's why I really threw out the combination of the big money payday, you know, potentially the warm weather, maybe a couple extra rounds of golf as you circle around, maybe less travel if he's just going to really lock in on recruiting there in Louisiana, which I anticipate to be his strategy. It's a proven strategy. And then I think the money is sort of the over-the-top slam dunk with it. But when you look at Jack Swarbrick and that clip that you guys just showed a second ago, and Swarbrick saying that he really was glad that Kelly didn't come back to him and say, you can match this offer. I think that says a lot. I think it says a lot about, and I think we do need to give Brian Kelly a whole bunch of credit for what he did rebuilding this program. Because when he came into Notre Dame, it was not like this. This was not, the program was not in the current state that it is now. And Kelly goes in there and they really wanted to hire somebody with head coaching experience. So they go get Brian Kelly, and he has rebuilt this program. And I think this program is in a very good place for a young guy to come in and take over, where when he first got there, it was not in that place. And so I think you're hearing some of those indications from Jack Swarbrick's mouth right now. And there's other names out there. I think we understand that. You know, Dabo Sweeney's sort of a pipe dream that's been floated around as a potential scenario. You know, you're hearing some of these names, maybe PJ Fleck. You heard Luke Fickell come out, but I was just amazed by how fast when Fickell's name came up that the Notre Dame community gravitated right back towards Marcus Freeman, who's currently in the building, of course, understudied underneath Luke Fickell. I think that they have just seen enough and they're ready for some young energy. It's very amazing how quickly the whole Notre Dame community's come together on one name. It really has blown me away.
Before we get you out of here, I definitely want to get some Sunday Night Football thoughts from you, as we know you multitask for Football Night in America, as well as covering Notre Dame as well as you do. But there's one thing I struggle with, and I just can't let go of. And listen, you make a lot of great points, Jack, that maybe the work was just done for Brian Kelly. He'd done all he could or needed to do at Notre Dame for Notre Dame to continue to be Notre Dame after he's gone. We may be seeing a star in the making or an opportunity for a star in the making in Marcus Freeman. And the money was just too good to turn down. I get all that. So while maybe his work was done after 12 years at Notre Dame, the job's not done now. And would just, again, I don't have no attachment other than you, Jack, to Notre Dame whatsoever. But the idea of somebody competing for championships and leaving when the team is, dare I say it, there's a likelihood, not a lot has to happen for them to get selected into the top 4. To leave now, just what does that say about him? You know this guy. You've been around this guy. You know him. I'm just a talking head from afar. You know him. You know what the type of man he is. What does it say about him that he would leave this program and these players, not when they're about to play, in the Sunflower Seed Bowl? They might be in the playoff. Isn't that what the job is? Isn't that what you're playing for, is to compete for championships? What am I missing here? Am I just being too romantic about this whole thing?
I was stunned. Let me be first to say that. I was completely and absolutely stunned, shocked, whatever word you want to use. And I'm not the only one. I mean, people very close to the program. I think you could even put Jack Swarbrick in that conversation about people who were just stunned. And I think it draws back to a little bit that you can never really know what's going on inside somebody's head. Like Coach Kelly, even meeting with them weekly throughout this year, I never had an indication that he would be leaving. I thought he would coach 3 to 5 more years at Notre Dame, and I thought he would ride off and go drink Mai Tais and golf and enjoy his life from there. And I would have said that with damn near 100% confidence that's what I thought was going on. But you never know what's going on inside somebody's head. And clearly the grind of Notre Dame in the past decade plus and everything that he had built had worn on him a little bit. And he felt like apparently his better opportunity to go chase these rings that we're discussing was where he could go do it at LSU and recruit that SEC talent and then go try to take on Saban and Georgia and Clemson and some of the best around college football. And that was his thought. And I don't think it came down to really anybody else's opinion besides Brian Kelly's. And he chased the money, he chased the new job, and it will forever be a part of his Notre Dame legacy, of course. I think all-time winningest coach. This, in my opinion, was his best coaching job that I had ever seen. You go back to about week 5, this was not a good football team. This was a bad football team. So for them to build this thing throughout the course of the year, Freeman, Tommy Rees, the offensive coordinator, and Brian Kelly was very impressive. And now they're right on the doorstep. Just need Alabama to lose to Georgia, in my opinion, before they get into the playoffs. So I'm shocked. We're all shocked, but that's what happens in college football, man. You never quite know.
It's a dirty world, but it's still spinning. Hey, real quick, Sunday Night Football, fascinated by this matchup, and maybe more so by Denver. I mean, obviously, Michael Holley thinks Kansas City is, rightfully so, belongs in the conversation for best team in the AFC. They're coming off a bye. We know how successful Andy Reid is coming off a bye. But Denver didn't get the memo that they were supposed to be packing it in and thinking about the offseason and thinking about next year. I know it's early in the week, but where has your early preparation taken you in terms of what to watch for in this game on Sunday night?
It's taken me on the phones having a whole bunch of conversations about Notre Dame coaching searches. That's where it's taken me so far. But I do think that, Vic Fangio is a heck of a defensive coordinator. He's going to need his best plan maybe of his career. Do I think that Denver is going to have an easy job trying to score points with Patrick Mahomes and this Chiefs offense coming back to life? I do not. I think it is going to be a tall task and a very tough building to go play them too at Arrowhead. But it's going to be on the shoulders of Vic Fangio because I do not believe that offensively Denver has the firepower to go head-to-head with Mahomes.
Okay, well, we will let you get back on the phones, and we looking forward to watching you the rest of the weekend, man. And we'll see. Maybe Marcus Freeman makes his debut on the biggest of stages, for Notre Dame.
A great way to start.
Make the playoffs. That is a great way to start. A promising career.
Your first game, a playoff game.
There you go.
Hey, Jack, what do you say? How you feel about coming back and kicking it with us some more, man?
I'll come kick it with you guys anytime. We're on a couple hours after you guys. I've been watching you all year. It's nice to finally get to hang out a little bit.
I know, man. I've been trying to tell Michael to get you on. He's been holding out,
Yeah, you believe that. You believe that, right, Jack?
Appreciate it, man.
See you guys. Have a great day.
Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.